place to place, place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Here on Tobago Updates Television. It is Monday, 20th January 2025, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and of course we will rejoice and be glad in it. It is a wet Monday morning. So of course, if you're leaving your home this morning, you need to make sure you have your umbrella, your raincoats, or possibly even your rain boots this morning as you go out. Remember to cover yourself and stay protected. There's so many viruses in the atmosphere, and you don't want to fall victim to one. You don't want to get the common cold. You don't want to get anything that's going around right now. So ensure that you are covered. Cover your heads, cover your chest, cover your feet. That's, the old people used to say a long time. Remember my grandmother saying, make sure your chest cover up, make sure your head covered and your feet. So when you're going out there today, make sure that you have all that is necessary to keep you protected from the rainfall. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at the end of the first month of 2025. Can you imagine? January is almost over. We're so happy that you're joining us this morning, that you've chosen us to take you through the programming today, to have the conversations that we need to have here on the island of Tobago. And we do hope that you could stay with us throughout the entire programming. But before we get into all of those conversations, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
You are Dana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, January 20th, 2025. The Ministry of Communications unveiled the updated coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago yesterday, showcasing a gold steel pan and pan sticks in place of Christopher Columbus ships. The change follows the National Emblems Amendment Bill 2025 passed unanimously in the House of Representatives on January 13th. Minister Randall Mitchell noted the move represents decade-long calls to remove colonial symbols. Additionally, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley emphasized the significance of the steel pan as a symbol of national identity. The bill now awaits Senate approval and presidential proclamation to become law. Up next, a minor is said to be charged with the murder of his friend, 15-year-old Beres Joseph, Tobago's first homicide of 2025. Joseph, a Signal Hill Secondary School student, was found on January 4th in Mount Hay area located between Patience Hill and Blackrock with multiple gunshot wounds to the head and neck. Family members expressed disbelief as the suspect was a close friend. Authorities linked the tragedy to gang exploitation of vulnerable teens. And finally, at the National Panorama Small Convention Band semi-finals on Saturday, TNTech New Eastside Dimension secured first place with their performance of Lord Kitchener's Rain O Rama. The competition, held at Victoria Square, Port of Spain, featured 31 bands, including 8 from Tobago. 14 bands have advanced to the finals, which will be held on Saturday, January 25th at Skinner Park, San Fernando. Among the finalists are 3 Tobago-based bands, all vying for the title of 2025 National Panorama Small Conventional Bands Champs. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Biana, for our news there in 90 seconds. And of course, the headline story there speaking about the coat of arms, the proposed change there at the coat of arms. Of course, we've been looking forward to this for some time now, since the announcement was made mid last year, I believe it was, or late last year, when the announcement was made. And seeing the image now, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like you feel like, they didn't just speak about it, and we're waiting for it 10 years to come, and so I'm really, really happy to see that, and I do hope that it gets passed, and that, we could get the ball rolling. I know a lot of persons had opinions in terms of why we're changing the coat of arms, how much it's going to cost, and we have to change all the currency, and we have to change all of this, but of course we know it's a phase-by-phase basis. The point is that we have our identity on our currency now, and we can, of course, boast of that as well.
And while we're on the topic of the coat of arms and the steel pan, you know, congratulations to all the Tobago bands that went to Trinidad for the small conventional bands. Yeah, Tobago, we did put on a showing on Saturday.
As per usual, you know, when Tobagonians have an opportunity to be on a national or international stage, we bring it.
Yes.
And, you know, of course, I join with you in saying congratulations to all of those bands that participated and the 3 that are advancing to the finals. You know, all of Tobago is behind you. And, you know, I want to say kudos also to the Division of Tourism. They sent representatives to walk us through. They had cameramen and, you know, interviewing this. I must say kudos to the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, their Secretary, Assistant Secretary and Administrator for thinking of this, and their staff, of course, for sending persons down there.
And we also had Secretary Tate. He was part of one of the bands. I think it was West Side Symphony.
Yeah, you know, such a big, I like the energy that Tobago brings when we have to come together on a matter, and I just want us to bring that into everyday life. You know, as we plan, as we make, you know, we make plans, we have goals that we could continue to band together, not just for festivities, not just when we have to go on a national stage to defend ourselves, but just to be that spirit of togetherness in everything that we do. And I tell you, we can move mountains. Beyond a Monday morning, and you know what? I have to report to you. Yesterday afternoon, I was listening to a podcast, and there's a word that came through on that podcast about 3 times within about 10 minutes. That word is consistency. You are right. Consistency came through. Yes. And I thought about Biana and I said, you know what? I really have, this is a message coming to me here.
Yes.
So we really have to remain consistent, and we're going to keep using that word until we actually see our goals materialize.
Yes.
So thank you, Biana, so much for joining us this morning, and do have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Same to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the morning where we celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. And on screen and celebrating a birthday today, you must know, everybody must know, this is a face well known to all and sundry here on the island of Tobago, and I'm sure in Trinidad, possibly the Caribbean region and the wider world at large. This is Andre Sebro. Yes, police officer. Extraordinaire. Yes, when he's on the roads, I'm telling you what, that traffic branch, they have a good one there. He makes life easy, and he does it with such passion and such pride. Happy birthday to you. We know you are Sebro. Happy birthday. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope you have a wonderful birthday and many more years of bringing smiles to people's faces as you serve with pride. So happy birthday to you. Next up is Loma Stewart McDougall. Loma Stewart McDougall is celebrating her birthday today as well. And Loma, we want to say happy birthday to you. This is a special lady. She is so gentle and so kind. You know, a lady with a lot of ideas. Yes, she's very good at decorating too, just in case you're wondering. Yes, and we want to say happy birthday to you, Loma. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful birthday. And in case you are celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, a promotion, your retirement even, we join in the celebrations with you this morning, and we remind you to put God first. Invite him in that celebration, because he is the very reason why there's even anything for you to celebrate. So remember to give God thanks for life. It is Monday morning, and you're wondering what's in my cup. What's in my cup is sponsored by LCJ Delights, and this morning I'm drinking ginger turmeric tea. Did you know that turmeric is good for joint, to help you with recover from joint pains? I was having some pains in my wrist over the weekend, and I thought, let me have some turmeric tea from LCJ Delights, and it really did help me. Now I can actually flex my wrists. So you want to take note of that, just in case you're enduring any joint pains. So thank you so much, LCJ Delights, for this cup of tea this morning. Who are we speaking with? Well, on Mondays, you know, we must speak with a representative from the TTPS. And this morning, we're speaking with Inspector Dexter Mills. We're talking about the extension of the SOE. Just in case you're unaware, yes, there has been an extension. And we're going to talk about what does that mean for all of us here in Trinidad and Tobago. You might also have seen in the news or even on social media over the weekend, teacher-student relationship in terms of, you know, an uproar in a classroom. So we're talking about protections for teachers at schools. And then we speak with Oral Saunders, former General Secretary of the PSA, as we talk about PSA general elections that's coming up, and we're going to have that conversation. And then we wrap things up by speaking with Dwayne Dove, cocoa farmer. And of course, we're talking about something very exciting and interesting, innovation at that, beer from cocoa. So you want to stay with us as we go through those conversations. So whether you're viewing on our Facebook live stream, on our YouTube channel, or on Amplia 102, we want you to tell all your neighbors, all your friends, whether they're right here in Tobago, whether they're in Trinidad, the Caribbean region, the United States of America, wherever they are, tell them that this is their opportunity to join in and be a part of the conversation. Of course, up next we have Inspector Dexter Mills. He's coming up next, so you want to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, help us to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Attention, members of TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Are you ready to take the next step and help shape your credit union's future? This is your chance to get involved. We're now accepting nominations for elections at our 75th Annual General Meeting 2025. Open positions include spots on the Supervisory Committee, the Board of Directors, and the Credit Committee. Nomination packages are available on our website www.twcu.co.tt, or you can pick one up at our Port of Spain or Tobago offices. The completed forms can be dropped off at the said offices or emailed to nominations@twcu.co.tt no later than January 17th, 2025 at 3 p.m. For more information, visit our website at www.twcu.co.tt. Don't miss this opportunity to make a difference. Apply today and guide the future of your credit union. TWCU Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Our credit union, one family.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. I am Adana Kambi, and we begin conversations this morning in studio. We speak with Inspector Dexter Miller of the TTPS, and we have two very, very important topics that we must discuss this morning. As you are aware, the state of emergency has been extended for an additional 90 days, and we want to know what does that mean for us here in Trinidad and Tobago, especially as the time that we're heading into, of course, is a festive time. And we also want to talk about protection for teachers in schools. You might be aware of a situation that happened just last week between a teacher and a student at school. And, you know, sometimes when you think of these things, they're kind of worrisome. So I want to start with the protection for teachers in schools. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning and thank you.
So we're getting straight into the conversation this morning, and the photos and videos were circulating on social media over the weekend, where we saw this teacher's face, sustained injuries due to an altercation with a student in school. We have had conversations on this show before, and we've had conversations in the public space. Right. What are the measures that have been put in place for teachers and students as well for protection in school? Because what would happen if a teacher decides to fight back a student? If it were the other way around, where a teacher, when they got into this altercation, the student ended up with these bruises and wounds, I would say, on their face, what would be the position?
Well, firstly, we have to understand and remember that when we see a video, we don't see the beginning. We always see probably the middle and the end. So we don't know the whole story. We never always does. The TTPS is one stakeholder in education. There's education, there are other stakeholders. From our standpoint, the schools have security officers, there are school safety officers who have a dual function in terms of security and monitoring of the students. So what we need to do is probably up the training, review the contracts, see what the scope of the responsibilities are in terms of coverage within the school perimeter. It's a straight case of assault if we have the facts as we view it, or occasioning a wound. So again, without knowing the whole story, we cannot make an informed decision as to what transpires. But there is a need for more protection at school for both students and teachers and other persons on the compound. We know the present climate of crime, and they are targeting young persons and school children, and some of the gangs are starting to recruit from even at the youngest at age 12. So there's a holistic discussion that should take place now between all the stakeholders towards education and young people in that respect to treat with the situation. It is prevalent, it is happening. Some schools are not reporting it. What we have seen on that video is only one of an instance that may have happened during that particular day. And we're always quick to take, the persons around these situations are always quick to take to the social media to highlight rather than to help. That is something that is, we've seen it. People are not helping. People are not getting involved. There are other adults around who are not getting involved, who choose not to get involved. Because they don't want to get their face smashed in. So, they have self-preservation. That could be the case where that is concerned. Yes, it could be the case. There's a fear of the situation, and that is real. That is as real as it is. So it's a whole discussion that we have to try to get together. And when a report is lodged, what is the investigation part of it? Is there a thorough investigation where you can get the information that you're talking about to make an informed decision as to what charges, who are the charges going to be laid upon, and what are the actions that will take place after this? Is there going to be an arrest? What is going to happen after an investigation is conducted? Well, the investigation will take place. Both sides will be interviewed. The minor and the adult, to get the story from the beginning. They will try to get independent witnesses who choose to come forward and say something to lend an independent source of information in the situation. Because it's a minor, there's a procedure that will be followed. Based on the facts, that file may go to the Director of Public Prosecution for review. So there's a number of steps. I know education would have their own report and internal investigation. Tutor would play their part in the situation. So the police would have their part to play towards bringing it to a closure, whether it's an arrest or otherwise. So this is a call now for collaborative efforts for all the agencies, all the stakeholders involved in education in Trinidad and Tobago to get on board to possibly revise what is already implemented in terms of protection for schools. Because we know there are security officers, we know that there are safety wardens at schools, but we need to reevaluate and reassess what their roles and functions and what their responsibilities are to ensure a safe space in schools, right? So we can conclude with that. Yes. So we're hoping that conversation would
happen and that things will be implemented to make sure that, you know, your child could feel safe going to school. A teacher, you're happy to get out of your bed to go to school to teach and not think, well, perhaps somebody might sail a bottle at my head. You know, we have to be real. It's the times that we're living in, so we have to be real. So we're hoping that those things can be put in place so that we can get to a place where teaching and learning is comfortable and convenient for all involved.
And we at the TTPS, we are stand willing to play our part in the situation. You know, we have an integral part to play. It's not only punitive. We can advise, we can have programs, we can give lessons, we can help structure the security measures. So we are standing ready and willing to play our part in the situation.
All right, well, let's see how that rolls out. But I want to move on now to our next topic. As we are aware, there's been an extension of the SOE. Additional 90 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, correct.
Which takes us into Carnival, and I didn't calculate all the way down to Easter. I didn't calculate all the way there. But the festive season, where all sorts of things happening. You have panorama, you have events, you have all different parties, fetes, all types of things happening, reveling and all sorts of things happening around that time. And while there isn't a curfew at this point in time, what exactly, one, is the purpose, and what does it mean for us here in the Trinidad and Tobago space?
Let me start by saying this. Law or laws or implementation or enactment thereof is not only for the law abiding, but it's more geared towards the lawbreaker. So we are in a situation where we have a state of emergency going into festive heightened seasons. It could be viewed in a number of ways. From the security organization standpoint, the TTPS, it means that we are already on a heightened sense of alert where the security is concerned. We already always said that Carnival is safe, and carnivals in previous years have been safe. So if we have this momentum from now going into festive seasons, Carnival and Easter, it means we are already on a path to ensure that you are safe, to ensure that every masquerader is safe, every visitor is safe. So we can look at it from that standpoint, which is always the positive first. Now, the person intending to break the law, that person knows that we are in a state of emergency and going into festive seasons. It will only intensify from the standpoint of the authorities. So it means that they too are aware that they have to check what they are intended to do or would like to do. So we want the public to feel even more safe that we are already have a momentum of heightened security from now, that we can treat with you going out, treat with you coming in, treat with you playing your mask, treat with you and your women's group going out and partying and nobody interfering with you, and the fear of crime should be reduced going into these periods based on what is happening now. People view a state of emergency as being something bad. It isn't. There's a time that we need to change how we do things and how we treat with situations. And basically based on what is facing our country now, it may be at this present point in time the best thing that could have been done in order to bring about a necessary change that we need to see where the crime was going. I know since the SOE we have seen a heightened number of detections in the firearm situation, because we know now firearm is the number one cry on everybody's mind, on their mouth, you know. So we have seen an increase. So it means that going into the next 3 months, this extension period, you can only see law enforcement getting a tighter hold on the present situation that is facing our country at this point in time.
You know, you're saying heightened awareness, heightened approach by the TTPS to ensure, you know, things are done in a specific way and that you're seeing the results coming out of the SOE. In terms of your intelligence, because intelligence might have been there before the SOE, to detect crime and to go into communities, areas, wherever hotspots are, having an idea as to who some of the persons might be, where they reside, where they hang out, where they conduct their business. You might have had that intelligence before. Now that the SOE has been implemented and, of course, extended, is the intelligence increased, or do you see, you know, more people coming forward with information and assisting the TTPS in terms of, listen, I got some information that might help? How is that working out?
with the implementation of the SOE, what we are seeing is there are avenues now that law enforcement can use. It's not to say that the avenues weren't there before, but there were certain bureaucratic procedures we would have had to follow in order to get certain mechanisms in place to treat with the information that we have and the surveillance and the intelligence. With the SOE, it gives avenues of open situations. There are open doors that through the SOE, law enforcement can channel this intelligence in a shorter possible time to address our target situations. There are persons of interest that we would have had intelligence on prior, but because of certain legislative situations, it's not that we are saying that the legislature is against, but there's a procedure to be followed. Because of the SOE, we can fast track those procedures and treat with intelligence as we are doing it now.
And in the Tobago instance, has that brought any type of results that is alarming, or obviously because we have an SOE, we've been able to do this? Because I know on a weekly basis you'd report the things that you were able to do in that particular period. Since the SOE has been implemented, and of course the legislation has been a little bit relaxed in terms of you're now able to do things that you really want to do as the police. I mean, you really want to get them off the streets, right? Now that you have that relaxation where you can do that, have you seen an increase, a drastic increase that is not just like, not marginal, like a drastic increase in detection, apprehension, arresting in the Tobago space?
And this is the thing, you may not term it as a drastic increase in detection, but what we are seeing is a heightened increase in targeting persons of interest. So those persons of interest are now in a position that they have to curb, stop, or slow down any illegal activity that they would have been perpetrating on citizens because there's a SOE in place. We can now treat with these persons in a particular way. We can frequent, or the frequency at which we involve ourselves with them, we engage them, we visit them, we put in a check, a welfare check on them. It's increased. So if you know that the police can come to you without warning, without certain documentation, it means that you are now saying that, listen, is either I stop or I face my consequence.
And you know, after the SOE, because the SOE will come to an end at some point in time.
It must.
Right? Legally, it must come to an end. Does the TTPS and the other agencies, well, I know you can only speak on behalf of the TTPS, is there a plan in place? Because when the SOE is removed, I'm not asking you to tell me what your plan is. But because when the SOE is now removed, is lifted, and we go back to normal life, and I'm talking about the lawbreakers, right?
System.
The normal system of, conducting your business as the TTPS. And it's like, right, so we relax now and really searching as hard as they were before. Is there a plan in place? Because now that it is removed, what's next? What do we do?
Right, so with the removal, we would tend to think that there would be a slack gap now that we cannot hold that rein. But I can assure you that this present commissioner would be in discussion with her executive, together with the Minister of National Security and the legal team, to see what we can implement without too much going back to Parliament if we don't need to change some of the procedure and the policy that could treat with the lawbreaker in a short possible time. You see, the SOE allows us a space of revisiting, rebranding, rethinking our position, how we treat with situations. It also gives the lawmaker the thought processing now that, listen, we can look to change some of the laws that are not being enforced, that are on the law books from time immemorial, that we can revisit to treat with futuristic country decision making.
And I do hope that whatever strategies are being placed on the table right now. Once implemented, we can maintain a place where we can feel safe, and we know that, you know, crime is being fought with aggression. Because I'm telling you, what happened last year in Tobago, it was a real unease. It made Tobago very, very uneasy. Every Tobagonian was on edge because it's something that is unprecedented, and we do not want a repeat of that in Tobago. My other question is about our borders, because we detected, we're finding weapons that we do not manufacture neither in Trinidad nor Tobago, where they're coming from and how they're coming here. Is anything put in place to secure our borders? We keep asking this question time and time again. Our borders need strong protection.
Right. Under the Ministry of National Security, I can tell you that continuous discussion is being had with, like, the U.S. government for assistance. We are looking at what is happening. I mean, just like the person perpetrating or bringing in firearm, he was an organization that is strategizing. So Trinidad and Tobago alone cannot do it. We are doing our best at this present point in time. But with the increase that we are seeing, we need assistance, and we are seeking that collaboration with other territories. There's the DEA, there's the FBI, there are other CARICOM countries that we are in discussion with right now to have collaborative efforts in securing not only Trinidad and Tobago, because it comes from outside to come in. So if we treat with the other territories to assist us in stopping at the point of disembarkation or embarkation, so to speak, we can treat with what is coming in, because our internal resources will deal with that. So we are trying our best. We are in discussion with these territories. The minister is treating with it. I mean, the Coast Guard is doing their best under the present circumstances. People keep crying that they have no ships, we have no boats, but it's a progress type situation that we have to respect, that there's a procedure to follow to procure these equipment, and they are extremely expensive.
Well, Inspector Miller, you know, the public of Trinidad and Tobago will be looking at the agencies to see what is happening, and of course to see the differences, because enough is enough where we are concerned. I wish we continue to wish the TTPS the best. And we call communities. There's a mantra that the TTPS always brings here on the station. If you see something, say something. It affects all of us. So we have to be a part, and we have to work together to ensure that we can eliminate crime in our communities, in our streets. Right where you live, probably a neighbor you don't know. If you see something that is out of, the norm, or out of what we call character here in Tobago, say something, contact the TTPS, you can contact Crime Stoppers. There's so many anonymous hotlines that you can call to give your information there, to be a collaborator with the TTPS to get rid of crime in our communities in Trinidad and Tobago. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, ma'am, we know Carnival is here. We want to reassure the public that they will be safe. They can go freely, traverse the streets. The agencies will be out in full force. The TTPS, the TTDF, the Coast Guard will be out in full force. There's no reason to be fearful. There are programs, there's discussion, there are strategies that I cannot speak of that are going to be taken into effect coming into the heightened season. So it's just for us to partner. We are continuing to ask for the patience of the public, but rest assured we have your interests at heart.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it there from Inspector Dexter Miller. They have our interests at heart. So let's just cooperate with them and see what is going to happen next. But in the meantime, of course, you need to be alert and protect your environment, protect yourself, and as much as possible, collaborate with the TTPS. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio. And up next, we have Oral Saunders, former General Secretary of the PSA. We're going to have that conversation next. So you want to stay with us. And as you stay with us, of course, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Tobago
Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kambi and thank you so much for staying with us. We continue conversations this morning. We speak with Oral Saunders, former General Secretary of the PSA, as we speak about the upcoming PSA general elections. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, comrade sister. Good morning to my brothers and sisters in Tobago. But a special good morning to all public officers viewing this wonderful program this morning.
All right, so we're heading into general elections, and I know you're the former General Secretary, and you are presenting yourself again for elections as you head into it. So tell us a little bit about your former position and your position now as you get ready to prepare for the elections.
Sure, comrade sister. Well, I would have started off in the PSA over 25 years ago as a normal member. Then I quickly became an activist of the PSA, working myself up to the #1 recruiter. Then I became the chairman of the St. Anne's Hospital section. I would have served on all the committees in the PSA. Committees, example, the Sports and Family Day committees, the HIV/AIDS committees, the regional system that the PSA once had. So I would have served on all the committees. Then I became the chairman of the Male Caucus. From there, I graduated to being a grievance officer. And then persons may recall I would have been elected as the PSA's General Secretary with former President Mr. Watson Duke. And now I am leading a team of persons, a wonderful and very diverse team of persons, calling ourselves the United Public Officers. So that is our current status at present.
Is this a move from the section you were representing prior, United, say it again, United Public Officers? Tell
Yes.
us now the reason for now moving to and leading this group of people into the elections.
Well, sure. Well, persons would have recalled that the PSA has been on a downward trajectory and spiraling out of control because there is a great sense of hopelessness being permeating throughout the public service in Trinidad as well as in Tobago. And persons would have reached out to me saying, Oral, listen, we need to do something, because they would have seen me speaking out on all public sector issues throughout the years consistently, even after being thrown out of the union, because yes, I was expelled from the union and I had to go to the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago in order to regain my membership. So I would have won that matter. So persons reached out to me and said, Oral, listen, you need to make that step forward in terms of representing the entire public service. Our comrades in Tobago have also been crying out, as well as Trinidad. Persons are continuing to be on 2013 salaries while absorbing the austerity measures of 2024-2025. So public officers, especially in a month like this, where most people believe instead of 31 days, this month seems to have about 90 days, they are suffering and they need some form of relief. And we would have heard, to our consternation, the current president of the PSA at Labor Day celebrations in Faizabad last year, indicating that he is not prepared or is no longer going to negotiate with the chief personnel officer until this government is changed. And therefore, as I said, public officers are saying, Mr. Saunders, Comrade Saunders, we did not join our union to play politics. We are supposed to be an apolitical organization working with any government that the people of Trinidad and Tobago sees fit to rule and govern. And you are supposed to, as the union, because you are being paid by the working class, the average public officer, your job is to seek the best terms and conditions of employment and work in the members' best interests and on their behalf, improving their welfare.
So I understand all of that. When you run this year, are you putting yourself, what position are you putting yourself forward for this year, just for clarity?
Yes, I will be running for the position of president of the Public Services Association. So I will be moving from former general secretary to the position of president with the support of the people of Tobago and Trinidad.
And I know you have a number of years in the PSA, of course, serving in different capacities and under different committees as they were. What exactly are you bringing to the table, all right, in the capacity of the president to ensure the satisfaction of the members, as you call them, comrades, brothers and sisters, to ensure that you will fight for their cause until there is some measure of change or satisfaction to the things that they have been clamoring for?
Well said, comrade sister. We believe that this year, 2025, is indeed the year of change. And what the membership, as well as the country, could look forward is a level of representation that they have not enjoyed for over 14 years. We intend to return the ownership of our union back to its rightful owners, which is the members. Comrade sister, there are members who believe that the PSA isn't even existing because they have no say. They want some relief in terms of their working conditions, in terms of their salaries, as I stated before. They are currently under 2013 salaries, absorbing all the austerity measures, and therefore they need a team of persons who are committed, persons who have a proven track record in terms of their character, and definitely they are clamoring for change. So we are going to return the union in terms of representation and focusing solely on representation, because that is exactly why they would have joined the union. There are so many members in the public service who are at present not in receipt of their group health plan, and they would have made claims on that group health plan in excess of a year, and some instances even in excess of 2 years, and they have not gotten any payment up to date. They have not received their traveling. Many public officers are complaining of the proliferation of contract employment. They would have been contracted for so many years, and they have yet to be made permanently appointed. And this goes across the entire public service, even in terms of WASA, because there was an exercise that took place in WASA where many persons who were legitimately entitled to becoming permanently employed were indeed bypassed. So you are going to get a president that is solely focused on the job at hand, which is representing you and improving your terms and conditions. So we will negotiate with the CPO, get back around the table, because we believe public officers are extremely upset and they really want to get out there on the streets because they are being left behind. While the other unions are progressing forward, the PSA is being left behind.
Mr. Saunders, as you prepare to head into the elections, what is the word on the ground? What is the feedback like from your comrades and brothers and sisters?
Want change. They are fed up. And comrades, sister, you may not or may be aware that public officers pay $100 per member every month, which is roughly $1,200 per annum. And they are not receiving the representation that they deserve. In fact, it is so bad, comrade sister, that public officers aren't even being allowed to go into the building that they call home, which is the head office. And for persons in Tobago, our sister Isles, what the United Public Officers team is going to do, and I dare any other team that is willing or vying for this leadership of the PSA to say, is that we are going to ensure that our second vice president comes from Tobago, because we recognize that our brothers and sisters in Tobago have very unique issues, and therefore they need someone over there that will be autonomous and be able to rally the troops. And we have chosen Comrade Ellis Clark. Persons would remember him because he would have served with Mr. Duke some time ago. So what we did was to sit down together, put aside our differences, and put the best interests of the Tobagonian and Trinidadian public officer ahead of any personal issues. And he would have agreed to come on board with us. And therefore, as I said, we are the only team that is going to be placing a fellow Tobagonian comrade as one of the presidents of the PSA, because we believe Tobago deserves nothing less. I mean, if it is you were to visit what the property that the Public Services Association owns, which is on Pigot Street, there isn't a building there. And for the millions of dollars that would have passed through the coffers of the PSA, the executive, past and present, did not see it fit to really place a building there that really represents the people of Tobago and what they deserve. And therefore, we are going to ensure that we put up a structure there that the people would enjoy and they will feel at home, where members could come together to deal with their issues. And not only deal with their issues, but we will definitely be educating our representatives. Our aim at the United Public Officers is to ensure that every single government office in Tobago and Trinidad has a representative that is educated in terms of industrial relations, occupational health and safety. And we are even going to delve into HR, because these are the professionals that the union representatives are coming up against around the table. So we need to be sitting on an equal platform where we could meet those challenges and overcome those challenges.
Absolutely well said. Comrade, can I call you that? When are the elections? When is the elections scheduled for?
We want every single public officer in Tobago to note that these elections are very important, and it would definitely chart the direction that you would like to see your union going in. And therefore, it is going to be on Monday, the 10th of March, 2025. We believe that the incumbents tried a fast one, because they would have placed these elections practically in the middle of Christmas and Carnival celebrations, hoping that it would have distracted public officers from the challenging circumstances they work under. But we know, especially with your help, Comrade Sister, using this wonderful platform that is seen throughout Trinidad and Tobago and even internationally, that persons would be aware of their responsibility, because there is absolutely no reason why, after paying $1,200 per annum for several years as a member, you would not go out to vote to make that change you would like to see in the PSA going forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saunders, of course, for giving us all that information there and the encouragement for your members to go out and vote on March 10th. Yes, that's when the elections take place, so you want to ensure that you are part of what is happening there. We do wish you the very best. We wish you and your team the best, and we wish the PSA in general the very, very best as you head into the elections on March 10th. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Mr. Oral Saunders. He's presenting himself for president of the PSA as they head into general elections on March 10th. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio this morning. But guess what? Who's up next? Dwayne Dove. He is up next. Yes, we're going to have that conversation with him this morning as well. We're talking about turning beer from cocoa. Yeah, very, very important conversation. So you want to be a part of that. In the meantime, of course, we invite you to help us. Share the live. Share the live. Share the live. We'll be right back.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. We're just at 7:57 a.m. So if you're getting to work for 8 o'clock and dropping the children off to school, you should be at your office right now. However, if you're still on the nation's roads, remember to drive safely to get there, because we do not want to cause any accidents on our nation's roads. We continue conversations this morning and we speak with Mr. Dwayne Dove. He is a cocoa farmer, Tobago Cocoa Estates. Yes, and we're talking about a very, very interesting topic this morning, beer from cocoa. Could you imagine? Good morning, Mr. Dove, and welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Of course, an absolute pleasure to have you this morning. Very, very interesting. We know that cocoa is so diverse, and now we're talking about something that I never thought about. I don't know how many other persons might have thought that this was possible, but we want to get straight into the conversation. How did we end up here? Beer from cocoa.
Well, I'm always, looking for new ideas, trying to be as innovative as possible. We just recently won 3 big awards in December. The 16th of December 24 in London, 2 silvers and a bronze. And, it just sort of, inspires me to find new ideas, new things, just being innovative and trying new stuff. And that is how the whole cocoa chocolate beer came about.
Right, and I don't know the process of making beer at all by any measure, and so,
Right.
Okay, so the innovations that came out, winning the awards, of course, coming up with so many different things and ways to use cocoa and chocolate. And now we're here, we're talking about getting chocolate beer. How do you manufacture? What is the process? What goes into this? First of all, to move it from an idea to an actual product. And, the marketing, the can, it does look like chocolates. It does look like cocoa, So what moves it from the idea, the thoughts of this is possible into, trying until you get a product that you think can go on the market?
Right. Well, the artwork is called steampunk, right? I've never heard of it before, but it's called steampunk. It's like a steam room sort of a feeling. Well, what happened is about 4 years ago, I met two guys from a micro brewery, a craft beer brewery in Croatia. I met them at a trade show in Europe, and we were talking about different ideas and stuff like that. And they are well known within the craft beer industry. So they said every year they do like a signature product. Last year they did a beer with chili in it, for example. And now when they approached me, they said, well, listen, we want to try a beer with your cocoa beans. So I said, okay, so how do we do that? And what it is really, it's a stout. It's an imperial stout, which has an alcohol between, I would say, 9 and 12% alcohol. It's like something between like a Guinness and a Mackeson, more or less. And what they did is that they aged the beer. What we did is we aged the beer in old bourbon Kentucky barrels that were used for aging bourbon whiskey. We aged the beer for 1 year in small barrels, and the last 3 months we infused the beer with our cocoa nibs, our wonderful Tobago Cocoa Estate cocoa nibs. So we roasted the nibs very gently and we infused them in the beer, and we allowed them to marry with the aged barrel beer for 3 months before we went to the next step, basically.
When you talk about ideas and innovations like this and collaborations even to be approached by an internationally renowned company, how does it make you feel to know that your product is, has the eyes, the international eyes, and the acknowledgement that it is something of quality?
Well, I always said Tobago has the finest cocoa. It's always been that way. All of us who are Tobagonians know that. Cocoa is in our blood. It's there. Right? I mean, we have the fine Trinitario cocoa. These guys, they have tasted my chocolates and they were totally blown away by the quality of the chocolate and said, geez, I mean, this is something that could really make a difference for this beer. So yeah, I mean, they really believed in it, and it's the story, the origin. We have a story to tell, Tobago Cocoa Estate. We are indigenous. We were born from Tobago. These beans are from Tobago. I am a Tobagonian. So they wanted to bring the whole story and capture it in the can, basically. And hey, it's drinking really good.
I'm sure it is. Is it ready? Is it ready for distribution? Is my next question.
Well, we did a small batch. We did maybe about 1,000 cans. And when I say 1,000 cans like this, which is quite small, and because it was a first shot, a first run, you don't want to make 5,000 or 10,000 cans. You want to get some market response and stuff like that. So now we actually actively working on getting it out into the market, the distribution. They have distribution already. So I am trying to, from my end, see how we can do, getting it into, we have people from Trinidad and Tobago who have contacted us who would really like to have the beer on their shelves. So we're working diligently to try and make that happen. There are certain laws with imports, exports, etc. We have to, paperwork, a lot of paperwork, basically.
And, of course, with the carnival season right around the corner, I do hope that you're able to maximize that opportunity there, of course, to get them on the shelves. In closing, I want you to share your thoughts, your ideas in terms of persons try something that you might be good at or something that you like doing, something that tells a story, as you mentioned before, about yourself, about where you come from, about your people. How would you encourage somebody who is thinking, perhaps I can do something, but they are, kind of doubting themselves because they're not certain?
Well, it's the passion that drives you and gets you going, and then you have to stick to it. You have to stay focused and stick to your idea. If you believe in what you're doing, all right, then you will succeed, right? Don't give up. Just keep at it, but stay focused. We get distracted so easily. You have to put 110% into whatever you're doing, especially a project like this, which is cocoa agriculture. You have so many other parameters to deal with. So I would say stick to what you believe in. Don't give up, right? And stay focused. That's my best advice.
Right. And before we wrap up, one more question I have for you. What's next for Dwayne Dove? What's next?
Well, I want to grow more cocoa. There's a cocoa crisis in the world. So I just spoke to the THA secretary, the wonderful Miss Pantin, and I asked her to assist me because I want more land, because I want to plant more cocoa. So that's my plan. So this coming July, August, I already ordered 5,000 plants. So we planting, I just give me some more land, I will plant more cocoa because there's a cocoa crisis in the world. So I would encourage every citizen in Trinidad and Tobago to start planting cocoa because we have a huge climate issue that is going to make cocoa so exclusive. Cocoa is going to become a rare thing in the future, right? So my plan is to plant more cocoa. That's my plan, and make more chocolates.
That's right. And who doesn't love chocolate? So, of course, we encourage you. We support you with that. And, of course, we take your advice. Everybody in Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, let me plant some cocoa. Yes, and make the thing happen. Of course, maximize the opportunity. Mr. Dove, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for bringing that ray of sunshine to our conversation today. And we do wish you the very best. We're looking forward to seeing those cans on the shelves and for further collaboration, right, as you continue to progress and advance in your business there. And, of course, to sensitize people about Tobago, the culture of Tobago, the people of Tobago, and what makes us who we are. So all the very best where you are concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Mr. Dwayne Dove this morning, a cocoa farmer, of course, and he wants to plant all the cocoa trees he possibly can here on the island of Tobago, and perhaps you can join in with him where that is concerned. This is where we end the morning show on Tobago Updates Television, but it's not where we end our programming. We head on over to GMT, which is Good Morning Tobago, and we do hope that you can stay with us. And as you stay with us, this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
A good Friday morning to you. This is another episode of Auto Correct. And this is where we sit and we take the time to actually correct misconceptions in the space, to actually treat with questions, burning questions that you may have. And on Monday, when we had our autofocus episode, we started a series where we invite others to the podcast because I really and truly want to share the opinions of others, which may or may not align with my opinion or the policy of the government. But the beauty about democracy is that we all should have a say in this matter of Tobago's self-government. And so this morning, I have Alia Chong with me. Alia Chong, a young lady from Plymouth, I believe. And in 2023, Alia graduated from St. Francois College out of New York and was awarded for the best thesis in global politics. Guess what was the title of her thesis? The title was Examining the Economic and Political Obstacles to Tobago's Self-Government. And I felt that absolutely brilliant. I don't know many young people who have pursued the issue of Tobago autonomy in their academic studies as you have. And so tell us about that, Alia. Tell us what motivated that, why Tobago self-government, why you're so interested in it to the extent that you made it the focus of your academic work and that you were able to achieve an honors thesis in that regard.
Okay, well, fun fact, actually, I became interested in the topic from seeing your Facebook post about the topic. Because prior to that, I was not aware that it was something being pursued. So I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw your post and I was like, wow, that's actually amazing that I didn't know that was happening right in my own space. So from that, I wanted to learn more about it, learn more about the history, learn more about what it has to offer for Tobago and those kinds of stuff. So when we were doing the research for our thesis topics, I did not find that any of the offered topic resonated with me and what I wanted to do because although I was studying abroad, I had a very keen interest in Caribbean affairs and most importantly, Tobago affairs. So I asked for exemption and I asked for the opportunity to explore that topic. I was given the green light. I looked at interviews, other political persons in the space, economics interviews about the question. I read articles. I went and I read books. And I was like, wow, this is a long fight. And we're still fighting for it today. And I want to be able to contribute to that discourse and give a youth voice in that discourse.
So, no, it's interesting, your perspective that from just perhaps one of my random Facebook posts, and if this is a Facebook post that you saw around, what, 2022?
2020, around there, yeah.
2020?
Because
so that was before before I became Chief Secretary?
Yes.
Oh, well, in those days I posted a lot more on Facebook. So probably saw one of my usual rants about Tobago's treatment in the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago. Why do you think it's important for young people to have a voice and to participate in the autonomy conversations? Why is this subject matter, you think, important to young people like yourself?
Well, there's a misconception that autonomy is for the older folks and that they don't really see how it's applicable to young persons because the focus is more so how it will benefit the older generation. So it's important that we get involved because if it's achieved or when it's achieved, we will be the ones that have to carry on the battle and to see it through, right? So there's an argument that we should not support the push towards self-government because we don't have the human resources to have a sustainable economy and be self-governing, right? So with more persons involved, like myself, younger persons, we'll be able to add a youth perspective and basically give life to what we will want for ourselves in the years to come. So I think that's why we should be involved.
How old are you, Alia?
I'm 25.
25. So you're right. We expect your generation to carry on the baton. I mean, it bothers me that I'm not just walking into this thing already done, that we're still making the same arguments made in 1977 by Robinson and Winston Murray. Are we making the same arguments made by A.P.T. James before Robinson. And we're making the same arguments that essentially James Bigat was making in 1925, when he was arguing that, look, the Parliament ought to support Bishop's High School Tobago and give it the status of a government-assisted school, which they didn't even want. They didn't even want to give us a school because they felt the island just was beneath having a school. And it just feels as though we are making these same arguments generation after generation after generation. And it's bothersome to me that I am here making those same arguments, and it seems as though those that we're making the arguments to have bucket ears, as we say, the hard of hearing or the ears don't work. From a youth perspective, what would you do different? Let's say we are in the future and you are part of the team advocating for this. I am no longer here. So it's a hypothetical. I am no longer here. The generation of politicians we have now, we are no longer here. And you still have to carry on this fight for Tobago's right to self-government or self-governance. What would you do different? What would you add to the conversation that is not now in the conversation?
Firstly, I will try to focus on empowering the youths, right? Because currently and in the past, there's a heavy reliance on jobs within the public sector. So everyone wants a morning work, everyone wants a little CPEC 10 on, 10 off, right? Not many persons are focusing on empowering themselves. We need lawyers, we need economics, we need doctors, but we also need entrepreneurs as well. So I think focusing on empowering the youth to start a business, kind of like the program that's present in finance right now, basically give them the tools to empower themselves and make Tobago a bit more economic independent. Because some of the arguments that I saw when I was doing my research is that Tobago would not be able to economically sustain itself, right? And they don't have the tools. So focus primarily on economic independence first before political independence, right? So to start off with that, I think that we need both. And so empowering the youth to start their businesses.
Special and there is no denying Tobago is number one. I am you and you. Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix, and you know whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But this morning, as we continue our Beneath the Surface series, I have my co-host with me, Mr. Luke James Trim. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chanel. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers. It's so good to see you. It's so good to have you. Come on in, let's have a seat. Now, before we start the fun, I have to give you the news in 90 seconds. So, the Ministry of Communications unveiled the updated coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago yesterday, showcasing a gold steel pan and pan sticks in place of Christopher Columbus's ships. The change follows the National Emblems Amendment Bill 2025, passed unanimously in the House of Representatives on January 13th. Minister Randall Mitchell noted the move responds to decade-long calls to remove colonial symbols. Additionally, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley emphasized the significance of the steel pan as a symbol of national identity. The bill now awaits Senate approval and presidential proclamation to become law. A minor is set to be charged with the murder of his friend, 15-year-old Beres Joseph, Tobago's first homicide of 2025. Joseph, a Signal Hill Secondary School student, was found on January 4th in Mount Hay area, located between Patience Hill and Blackrock, with multiple gunshot wounds to the head and neck. Family members expressed disbelief as the suspect was a close friend. Authorities linked to the tragedy to gang exploitation of vulnerable teens. At the National Panorama Small Conventional Band semifinals on Saturday, Tiantec New East Side Dimension secured first place with their performance of Lord Kitchener's Rainorama. The competition, held at Victoria Square, Port of Spain, featured 31 bands, including 8 from Tobago. 14 bands have advanced to the finals, which will be held on Saturday, January 25th at Skinner Park, San Fernando. Among the finalists are 3 Tobago-based bands, all vying for the title of the 2025 National Panorama Small Conventional Band Champion. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Right. Well, this morning we continue our discussion, but we have an interesting guest this morning. We are not chatting with one of the assemblymen, but we are actually chatting with the chairman of the Tobago's People's Party. Good morning, Miss Natasha Ann Second, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm having a great day so far. I'm looking forward to a great week. Good morning to all of Tobago and all of the viewers across the globe.
Right. Now, it's a bit different to have a party chair in the chair this morning, but still we have a number of questions that we want to ask, specifically seeing that we are in year 3. And there's one more year left of your party being in office. But the truth of the matter is you did not start off as the Tobago People's Party. Persons placed their confidence in the PDP, and now you are TPP. What kind of work have the organization been doing internally and externally to transfer that confidence to the new party?
That's an excellent question to start the discussion. We would have memories of that time when we toppled the PNM in December of 2021. We entered that race, even though we entered as the PDP, we entered that race with one contender for our chief secretary post, and he remains the current chief secretary. The candidate who was going to be chief secretary was Fali Chavez Augustine, and he remains the chief secretary. So we had that sort of primary nexus to build our party. And coming out of the breakaway, the members, the individuals, the persons who were attracted to the PTP initially and to the movement against the PNM, they demanded that we as an organization contest elections in the future, which meant that we had to go back to the drawing board and organize. And we would have successfully organized. We would have registered our party. It was built from the ground up, constitution. All arms of the party are now fully constituted. We have the Women's Council, the Men's Council, the Youth Council, etc. And we are properly preparing for the general election. The general election process for us has begun with the call for nominations. And I'm pleased to say that we have a very strong cadre of Tobagonians, all ages, all professions, who have put their foot forward to try to contest and represent the TPP. So the party will shortly indicate who will be our candidates for Tobago East and Tobago West.
Okay, nice. And Ms. Second, the beautiful thing about this interview is that the last time you and I crossed paths, you were a teacher, I was a student, and now here you are in the field of politics. And I just want you to walk us through that transition from, being a teacher to now getting into politics, because we have so many young people, so many general people who would like to get into the field of politics. But it's always, the question comes down to that transition. How do I transition from where I am now to where I would like to go? So walk me through that.
All right, so it begins with the passion. It begins with knowing that you want to contribute to service of your country, understanding concepts of power, and understanding that at the end of the day, no matter what you think, no matter what you promote and you argue, power is what determines the policies that affect people's lives. And you need power. You need to acquire power. I would have had a number of years in education, but I was always interested in politics. So every election I would have been on the ground campaigning with someone. That is the passion. Once the persons, and our TPP party in particular, has persons from all different walks of life, persons who were in other political parties before, persons who just came out of the professional field. Once you've decided that politics is the way you're going to go, you do have to be realistic. You have to ensure that you are financially secure. You have to ensure that your family is on board with you. Your family understands that there is going to be personal attacking. There's going to be attacks on your family. There's going to be some elements of persecution because we are playing for power. So you have to be ready. So you have to ready yourself emotionally, psychologically, prepare yourself with all of the knowledge that is necessary, and then jump straight in and swim.
And Ms. Second, you sound so relaxed about that transition, like it wasn't difficult for you. Was it difficult, or it was something that was, okay, I have been preparing for this all the years of my life, so now that it's finally here, I can step into it. How was that transition for you?
I enjoyed it because it was a natural progress for me. I want to talk a little bit about the legacy of the PNM in Tobago, which would have propelled all of the different persons that I just mentioned to move towards ousting the PNM from power and sort of restoring Tobago to the seat of power. Persons coming from different walks of life, whether they were police officers, teachers, general public servants, etc., wanted something better for Tobago, young people, etc. So we began to organize ourselves, particularly for the youth, particularly to structure something that would represent less of the injustice that has been institutionalized by the PNM in Tobago. We have national policies that have worked completely against the Tobagonian population. For instance, the 25-year battle for autonomy, the buckle of trying to transport ourselves to and from Trinidad, a domestic flight with our Caribbean Airlines, the oppression of our students, of our student population. Even right now, the challenges that we have, or we will have, once the public servants understand that they are now the new poor, now that Dr. Keith Rowley has accepted the Salary Reviews Commission that has given them 47 and similar amounts of percentages increase, while the general masses have between 0 and 4% increase. So they are the new poor. We no longer have a middle class. So people have to be driven, and were driven by the oppressive states that led to injustices in the system in Tobago. And so we got together. It was a natural transition because you want better for your island. And you have to decide that political structures are important to our everyday lives. And the only way that you can make those changes is by being involved yourself. It takes some courage, though. It takes some courage on your part.
And what do you say to the persons who would say, if yourself and your party truly wanted autonomy, that you would have voted in favor of the Tobago Autonomy Bill and worked towards continuous improvement?
Well, we would start by the reality of that statement. We do not have the authority to vote for autonomy, right? Because we are not in the House. We're not in the Parliament in Trinidad. Only the members of Parliament in Trinidad can actually vote.
Constitutional.
Right, constitutional. So we could have articulated a position, we could have argued for it, we could have advocated, and all of Tobago and members of in the Trinidad space have articulated the positions towards autonomy for Tobago for the last 25 years. So the structure that led to a rejection of autonomy was set up by the PNM. It is controlled by the PNM. It was a whole pappy show. It made no sense. The opposition wasn't invited to be involved in the discussions. The opposition in Trinidad I'm talking about. Tobago, even though our voice could be heard, could not vote. So those who voted are across the waters and they exist in the parliament. So we didn't have a vote. Some persons who lost an election during 2021 were able to influence the vote and actually speak in parliament. Like our senators, Senator Ansel Dennis, Senator Hislop, and so on. But the Tobago House of Assembly and all of the members there who were elected by the Tobago people, they could speak outside of Parliament, but they cannot vote and they cannot influence the vote.
Okay, Ms. Second, and sticking on the topic of Tobago's autonomy, I want you to articulate for us in terms of the TPP, what are your plans for the upcoming year or the upcoming years, granted that you all are given a renewal, that 4 years renewal, where Tobago's autonomy is concerned and getting the public involved? Because I think on the ground, we have been hearing people saying that although they are interested in the conversation, they have not been somewhat feeling included in the conversation. Sometimes when you look at the discussion about Tobago's autonomy, it seems to be a discussion that's only for the politicians, people in power, but in order for us to really or in any country, any island, to get that true constitutional reform, it needs to be an everybody conversation. What can we expect to see from the TPP in terms of bridging that gap between the public and the autonomy conversation?
We have to first understand autonomy at different levels. So the man on the block must understand how it relates to him if he's going to be invested in it. One of the tricks of politics, especially if you have the existing power to control, is to limit the understanding of the concepts to average man on the street. So that you actually make your decisions that affect their lives without them knowing, and you blindside them with other things, maybe hampers, maybe 10 days work, maybe whatever. But you distract them with things that are short-term, even FETs. You might distract them with those things. But you do not break it down so that they understand. You don't take the time to educate the public in the way the public should be educated. And the TPP's approach is to re-educate the population. So the word autonomy, we're going to break that down. And I believe the Chief Secretary has been doing a series on autonomy, trying to ensure that various levels of the population understand the concept and understand what it is we are looking for. Some of the practical components, the fiscal, bigger practical components, are defining the waters of Tobago and what is inside of those waters of Tobago, like the gas fields and so on. And are we getting what we're supposed to get to advance and develop the socioeconomic context of Tobago? One of the ministers on the red side would have been on several programs indicating that knowing that there's gas close to Tobago shouldn't affect our decision about autonomy because, in other words, because we don't have the platforms and we don't have the ability to develop those things. We don't have the capacity development. We don't have the capital to invest in it. But we can, through different law creating factors coming out of autonomy, attract foreign investment. So what the TPP is going to be doing is taking our time to educate everyone from every level. Men on the block, young people, teachers, persons in school, everybody, men, women. We need to understand what greater autonomy would mean for all service delivery to Tobagonians.
Excellent. And with this being the last year for the THA executive, it is also the year of the general election. How are you and your party members preparing for that? And we know that you had a nomination that was closed on the 8th of January. How did that go? What was the process? Who were the nominees? Usually when a nomination is closed, we see all the nominees are put out there and persons could see who they can support, but we have not seen that from the TPP. Can you explain what has happened with the general election nomination?
Right. So we are very interested in general elections. Dr. Rowley would have described the parliament in loose language as a bigger kennel, which meant that they have more power, right? They have, out of the 41 seats, they have the majority in the House. We needed to exercise the ability to understand that we need to reduce his kennel in order for Tobago to actually really have some power. One way to do that is to acquire the 2 seats in the general election, Tobago East and the Tobago West, at least the member of parliament voices, right? So the TPP is going to contest the election. Let's start with that. Secondly, we have called for nominations, and persons did apply to be recognized as potential candidates.
Can you tell us how many?
I'm not going to tell you how many. The party is going to publicly announce how many for the East, how many for the West, and we're going to announce the process that will lead to the selection of the candidates.
Okay.
So a number of persons did successfully submit their nominations. One of the criteria that was needed was that we needed 6 financial members of the party to nominate persons, whether East or West. So you had to come from a party group or be a functioning member of the party. So it's a very democratic process. It shows the ability of the people to organize themselves. Like I said, we have action groups, different councils and so on organized. So persons would have presented who they want. They proposed persons to be potential candidates.
Right. And I mean, persons are asking, why is the nomination process such a secret within the party?
Right. So I'm going to say something that I want the whole of Tobago and all Tobagonians living everywhere to understand. The power is a very serious concept. Even after we would have won elections, December 2021, democracy became eroded immediately by the bigger power, the bigger kennel. What do I mean by that? The chief secretary and different secretaries were attacked with a voice note drama earlier on, very early in the term, with the intention of having some sort of coup and ousting them from office. And we had a number of regular citizens. Their devices were taken from them, their homes were searched, they were searched in the workplace, things were taken from them with the intention to psychologically traumatize the public servants so that they would not be willing to work with the executive council. They would be afraid to work with the executive council to execute the new mandate of this new government. That was an assault on democracy. So the members of the TPP and all of their families and all of the persons in the THA, etc., have to find different ways to manage that power and control over them. And they have to operate with wisdom. We can't have all of our methods and our business out there. We have been able to very stealthily register our party. We have been able to meet, whether it's in the East, whether it's in the West, and keep our party alive. Because we understand that the powers that be, the bigger kennel is located in Trinidad in central government, run still now by Dr. Keith Rowley and with the blessing of Stuart Young. So we have to operate with care, with due care. So we have to ensure that some of our things are kind of highly secret.
Okay.
Understood. But before we go to the break, the question is, have you shown interest in any of those seats, whether it be Tobago East, Tobago West? Have you thrown your hat into that ring?
I most definitely have. I wouldn't be able to say which one, but I most definitely have.
Excellent. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break right here. I'm going to be back right after this. See you soon.
It's a brand new morning, rise up.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago as we are continuing the Beneath the Surface series. And yes, viewers, we are chatting with Miss Natasha Ann Second, chairman of the Tobago People's Party. Now, Miss Second, elections are coming up very soon, and I think for the country of Trinidad and Tobago, this is going to be a very interesting season in terms of elections, because we have general elections and THA elections coming right behind one another. But in terms of, you know, the TPP and campaigning, what can the average Tobagoan expect to see rolling out very soon?
Right. So we won't go into the specific strategies of the party, but there are very generic things that all parties do. So we'll have spot meetings, even though we're under a state of emergency. There is no restriction against hosting mass gatherings and so on. Persons would want to season their language with salt to make sure that they're not charged with sedition or anything like that, you know. So you do want to temper how you speak and how you behave. But we will have the spot meetings. We're going to be opening all of our satellite offices. The main office will be right here at the Port Mall. More information on that will come during this week. And we will have house-to-house campaigning to explain to the persons who will be eligible to vote. All of the young persons voting for the first time, persons who have had a side, they've been part of the critical mass either of the PNM or any other organization over the years. We want to take our messaging house to house, ear to ear, you know, share what we have to offer and help people to be empowered to understand that this election isn't so much about the individual, but it is a reflection on the Tobago's perspective and how Tobago can achieve what we need to achieve through all of the components of and the authorities of autonomy.
Okay, great, Ms. Second. And you know, we've been hearing this slang, I should say, standalone MP coming out from the party. So I want you to talk to me about that concept and what does it mean, because I myself want to know what it means, a standalone MP. What does that mean?
Right. So people would be thinking of MPs in terms of their ministerial portfolio. People would be thinking, what's the point of having two MPs, Tobago East and West, who are not aligned to a particular, they don't form the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And that would be one of the arguments that would come from those who control power right now. But I want us to reflect on it and think about it a little bit. Recently, we had the Prime Minister handing over power through a very interesting process. I call it the glitch in the PNM matrix, where he came out, he announced that, he'll be leaving soon, and a small number of them in the ministerial caucus would have decided that Stuart Young should be the Prime Minister. After that, we had some internal wrangling burst out onto the national stage. We had a Jennifer Baptiste Priners, LeHunt, and different people sort of attacking the undemocratic process. Then we had a round robin of different MPs, etc., and negotiations according to Primus, and they decided that instead of 9/11, all 21 of them would sign an agreement to have the new PM be Stuart Young. When you think about it in that context, you try to isolate the Tobago voice and the Tobago perspective, you understand that in terms of the PNM National Party, their voice and their devotion and their commitment is towards their party rather than towards the island of Tobago or towards Tobago's views. Having a standalone MP without a ministerial portfolio gives Tobago the unique perspective of returning that voice to Tobago, unencumbered by whatever negotiations took place in Trinidad. But I want to make sure I explain myself properly. A ministerial post means you could be Minister of Youth, you could be Minister of Education, etc. So your policy positions or your programs or your commitment would be towards these particular ministries, right? So some of your time would be left for raising issues to do with your island, with Tobago, etc. If you are an MP, a member of parliament, you are part of that, the parliament that is constituted of Senate, parliamentarians, your House of Representatives, etc. You are part of that team. If the only thing you have to do is take the Tobagonian perspective to every single bill that comes there, research the best position for Tobago. Tobago would never have had the kind of representation that it could potentially have now. So for the TPP, we are going after a Tobago East MP and a Tobago West MP that looks at Tobago's interests rather than is absorbed by whatever is this PNM individual focus on their party, which may harm Tobago. You understand what I'm saying?
Understood. And when we look even at the next THA election that is to come, in the first instance, it was basically a coalition of, I believe the Chief Secretary called the willing and the competent. Yes. But this time around, you have a more established party structure. How would representatives be nominated to represent each district? What would that process look like? Would it be more democratic? And how can the persons within the district actually get involved in selecting their candidates as opposed to going with whoever the party chooses?
A review of our current constitution shows that the power rests among the people. So if you're involved in the action groups, if you're involved at any of the party arm level, you would be able to contribute, you would be able to give feedback, and you'll be able to participate in the process. Your voice is critical in determining the role of your representative, how you have related to your representative, and who you would like to represent you. Because we want to have a very strong bottoms-up approach to democracy in the party. There is structure, there is order, there's discipline and so on. But the voice of the people, in terms of the young people, in terms of every member who puts themselves forward to represent at any arm of the party, will be recognized. So it's going to be a holistic process that will involve the best representatives being selected in every single district in Tobago.
Right, and what does that process look like? Is it a election? Is it an how will that happen?
But we're not sharing the exact how, obviously, because we have a competitor out there.
Okay, so is it that there would the final buck would stop at the political leader and the chairman of the party who represents, or would the party group be coming together and establishing who would be the representative for their area?
Right, so it'll be a combination. It'll be the party groups, the general population, because we'll do polls as well, the work of the assemblyman as well. The evidence would indicate if you have a A grade, you have a B+ grade, etc. You did well, you did your very best with the resources that you had. You love the people, and the people want you. The people want you back. Or the people want somebody new, somebody who can continue the vision of Tobagonians in their party, which they created from the bottom up.
Okay, great. And Ms. Second, last week I asked the question, it started off as what does beneath the surface mean to you in terms of a Tobagonian? And then I changed it to, when you think about Tobago, the island of Tobago, what does Tobago mean to you both professionally and personally?
Well, I spent my adult life in Tobago, even though I was educated elsewhere, and I've traveled a lot. I love Tobago in terms of our values. We have a good system of values. We do have some invasive positions, like a little bit of materialism and a little bit of individualism and some divisiveness. But generally, we have very good, strong values that would have led to the harvest culture. We are the only place I know in the world where you could come on a Sunday and participate first in a church celebration to thank God for all of his blessings, and then you share what God has blessed you with, food and drink and so on. Our particular traditions that we celebrate, whether it's wake, whether it's weddings, how we christen children, how we indoctrinate our young people, etc. So I love Tobago. I see a vulgar invasion of criminal activity onto the minds of our young people, and even some of our men, or grown men and grown women in our society, that is unprecedented. It was usually associated with urban youth, like in Port of Spain and so on. Gang culture, criminal culture, a very materialistic perspective that doesn't want to volunteer, but wants to acquire things today for today, like right now, at any cost. Very selfish approach to leadership, where you're not grooming those under you, you're not helping those under you, you exploit, rather. So that is a kind of creeping negative culture that can tend to be controlled by policies, broader macro policies. And I would like to be part of the process of ensuring that Tobago does not lose its way, that our young men and our young women can have very positive streams to help them to be educated and to integrate naturally into adult life through the workforce and so on in a proper way, rather than through the influence of crime and criminal activity. So I love Tobago for what we authentically are, and I reject those kinds of invasive criminal components to our lives now, and I would like to be part of the system that reaffirms who we are
Okay, nice. And for 2025, Vision 2025, you all are basically on the last lap before you go back out and battle to get reinstated. What are your visions? What are your plans? What can we expect to see coming out from the TPP?
Right, so the TPP, through this current administration, has had to play a balancing act. We've had to survive the onslaught of the central government and the attacks using the police and licensing and so on. We have had to survive that. We've also had to survive the underfunding by Colin Imbert and his team, the deliberate underfunding. We've also had to survive blatant attempts at disrespecting the authority of both the office of our chief secretary and the existing structure of our THA. We have had to be creative in how we reprioritize our funding and creative in terms of how we determine what we are going to look at as the projects that would best serve our island. So we came up with the 44 out of 44 projects. What we are going to be doing is making the demands within the law for what we're supposed to get. Colminwood, for instance, promised us $230 million towards building Scarborough Sec, only gave us $500,000. We're going to be on the hustings, speaking to that, making our demands, requiring our $230 million. Because his decision hurts Scarborough Sec, it hurts our young people. They are some of the top performing students on the island. Their parents, their teachers are all demotivated because of that. We're going to make those kind of demands. We are going to highlight any shortfall in terms of funding provided to us or any sort of mamagism like the facade that they brought to us with the autonomy quest. There was no genuine interest in autonomy, and we are going to highlight that. And we are going to continue to grow in strength and in power by ensuring that the public is properly educated about our politics and so on. It is our intention to expand our horizons by taking Tobago East and Tobago West. There are no safe seats in Tobago. As the campaign manager for Sonny Craig in the Bucko Mount Pleasant area, we dispelled any notions of safe seats on the island a long time ago. So Tobago West not safe, Tobago East not safe. We are taking both. And we're going to do the work that is necessary to ensure that we do that.
How important is it for the administration to focus and include the youth voice and the youth vote in the upcoming election campaigns that you will be having?
It is impossible to not involve the youth perspective and the youth vote. Apart from the fact that a number of persons would have turned 18 and sometimes they're influenced by whether it's granny or auntie or so, you have to go after the mind of the youth and the will of the youth, understand what it is they want, what it is they need, and engage them in the political process. It is critical. It is extremely important. And they will be attracted to our party, and there will be systems set up to both keep them and ensure that they have the opportunity to grow and develop.
Excellent. Well, we are having to round up this morning, unfortunately, but is there anything that you want to say to Tobago and the general public before you go off?
Yes, Faris Alwari would have described the selection of Stuart Young. I mean, it's old news now, but he would have described the selection of him as evidence that there's no glass ceiling in the PNM against race. So I want the PNM to remember that when they come to the hustings and they try to align the TPP with the UNC, because they constantly try to use race in the politics to diminish our perspectives and so on. I also want to talk about the fact that our party has no glass ceilings. We have no glass ceilings against women. It's a place where women can self-actualize. We have no glass ceilings against the youth. We have no glass ceiling against people based on their race, people based on whatever positions they hold in the public service or otherwise. So you're welcome to find out about our party and to come and be part of the movement as we seek to grow, to develop, and to impact positively Tobago's development.
All right, Ms. Second. So I would like to thank you for agreeing to sit with us this morning. I think it was a very healthy conversation. I think most of the conversations we've been having on this series has been very healthy. We look forward to see the work that it's going to be launched out soon. So I want to thank you once again. So viewers, that was Miss Natasha Ann Second, TPP Chairman, as we continue the Beneath the Surface series right here on Tobago Updates. For everyone that joined us, for everyone that locked in, thank you so much for choosing Tobago Updates to start your morning on the right note. So I want you all to just be safe on the road today. Have a blessed and productive week. And remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.